The night was calm at first. The city lights of New York glowed softly under a silver moon. But then, one by one, those lights began to fade. Power grids shut down without warning. Airplanes lost contact. Phones stopped working. People came out to their balconies, staring at the sky that suddenly turned deep red, as if the world itself was burning above the clouds. In an underground observatory far from the city, Dr. Elara Voss sat frozen in front of her monitor. She had been tracking strange radio signals from deep space for weeks. But tonight, the readings were different, stronger, clearer, and organized. They were not random pulses anymore. They carried rhythm, order, and something that sounded like a message. Her assistant Jonah leaned closer. "Is it military communication?" Elara shook her head slowly. "No, it's too complex. It's not human." Before she could speak further, the ground trembled slightly. Outside, thunder cracked without clouds. A strange metallic sound echoed across the horizon. It wasn't thunder. It was something breaking through the sky, thousands of miles away. In orbit above Earth, Captain Reydan Holt floated inside his patrol ship. Aegis 9, his radar filled with red warnings. Objects were appearing from hyperspace, huge dark shapes the size of cities. His co-pilot gasped. That's an Armada." Reydan zoomed in on the nearest object. It wasn't a meteor or asteroid. It was a ship, black, sharp-edged, and alive with strange energy lights. "They're forming battle lines," he said in disbelief. "They're not here to talk." Within minutes, every global channel went into panic mode. Governments tried to contact the United Nations Defense Command. Military fleets launched. Missiles were armed. But none of it mattered. The alien ships didn't wait. A voice, deep and calm, echoed through every open frequency on Earth. It was not spoken. It was broadcasted directly into every human mind. "We are the Vorath Dominion. You have been found. Your time as masters of this world is over." People screamed as their minds filled with images, alien worlds burning, civilizations crushed, and stars fading. The Vorath had done this before. They were destroyers of empires. Elara tried to steady her breathing. Her computer was still decoding the strange signal she had captured earlier. "Jonah," she whispered, "that message, it's not from them. It's something else. It came hours before the Vorath arrived." Jonah frowned. "From where?" She turned the monitor around. The signal's coordinates pointed not to space, but directly below the Earth's crust. "It's coming from under us," she said softly. Above the clouds, Reydan's ship trembled as the first alien blast struck the upper atmosphere. The explosion lit the sky in red fire, scattering debris like rain. But instead of falling toward Earth, the fragments froze mid-air, caught in a field of invisible energy. "What the hell is that?" Reydan shouted as his instruments went wild. Lightning erupted in the upper layers of the atmosphere, forming massive rings of energy that surrounded the alien fleet. From the ground, people saw red clouds forming spirals that stretched across the entire sky. Birds scattered. The wind grew heavy. The temperature dropped. Then came the sound, a deep, rolling growl that came from the Earth itself. Elara watched as her lab screens filled with new data. The same signal pulsed again, stronger this time. It synced perfectly with the lightning storms. "It's responding," she whispered. "Something on Earth is answering them." Jonah backed away. "Answering who? The aliens?" She shook her head. "No, the planet. Earth is answering." In orbit, Reydan's communications officer shouted, "Sir, the alien fleet, something's happening to their weapons." The Vorath ships began to flicker. Their energy cannons dimmed, their shields collapsed. A massive thunderstorm spread through space itself, wrapping around their formation like a living wall. "Pull back," Reydan ordered. "We need distance." But it was too late. A bolt of blue lightning struck the lead alien cruiser. It tore through the hull and spread like veins of fire. The entire ship shattered in silence. The debris floated for a moment before vanishing in a burst of light. On the surface, Elara's observatory shook violently. She grabbed the edge of her desk. "It started," she said. "This isn't a storm. It's a defense." Outside, the red sky deepened, filled with lines of glowing energy that looked like ancient symbols moving through the clouds. Power returned in short bursts, then vanished again. People saw flashes of light, shaped like massive wings, stretching across the horizon. News channels failed. Satellites fell silent. For a few minutes, the entire planet was blind. Then suddenly, the voice of the Vorath returned, angrier this time. Your world resists, but resistance is useless. You will fall as others have fallen. Elara leaned closer to her monitor, eyes wide. They don't understand, she whispered. This isn't just resistance, it's evolution. Reydan's final transmission before blackout came through static and thunder. To anyone hearing this, the planet is alive. I repeat, the planet is alive. And then silence. The sky over every city turned blood red. Lightning spread in perfect circles around the globe. Oceans began to churn violently. Dr. Elara Voss stood at the entrance of her observatory, staring upward. For a moment, she thought she saw a shape moving behind the clouds, a colossal shadow. Rising from the atmosphere, slow and unstoppable, she whispered under her breath, "Earth is waking up." The red sky glowed brighter, and the first alien fleet broke through the storm. But this time, the storm struck back. The red sky did not fade. It stayed above Earth like a wound that refused to heal. Every hour, strange lights moved behind the clouds, slow, massive, and silent. People across the planet watched in fear. Some prayed, some fled, but most simply stared, waiting for the end. High above the Earth, the alien Armada hung like a wall of black metal. Thousands of warships stretched from one horizon to another. Their leader, Overlord Syrinx, stood inside the control chamber of the flagship Drakor. His voice was calm, his eyes like cold stone. "Humanity will kneel," he said. "This world belongs to the Vorath Dominion now." On his command, the first wave of attack ships broke formation and entered the upper atmosphere. The sky burned with streaks of red fire as they descended. Each ship carried weapons strong enough to level entire cities. But something was wrong. As the alien vessels entered the storm zone, their energy cores began to flicker. Instruments malfunctioned, engines stuttered, pilots shouted in confusion. What should have been a smooth invasion turned into chaos. Down below, Dr. Elara Voss watched everything from her observatory. Her computer screens showed strange readings again. The lightning storms were moving in patterns, organized and deliberate. It was not random weather. It looked almost like defense grids. Jonah ran toward her with a trembling voice. "They're landing all over the world. New York, Tokyo, Cairo, everywhere." Elara didn't answer. Her eyes were fixed on one line of data, flashing repeatedly on the screen. The same unknown frequency she had detected before. It was pulsing in rhythm with every lightning strike. She typed quickly and decoded part of it. "Do not interfere. The Earth will defend itself." Her hands froze. "Jonah," she whispered, "it's not us sending this signal. It's coming from the planet itself." In orbit, Captain Reydan Holt's ship Aegis 9 was caught between the alien fleet and the storm wall. His sensors were going blind, static crawling across every display. "We're being jammed," his officer said. "It's not Vorath technology. It's coming from below." Below." Reydan frowned. "You mean Earth is jamming us?" Before the officer could answer, the ship's alarm screamed. An alien destroyer appeared above them, weapons charged. Reydan shouted, "Evasive maneuvers!" But before the destroyer could fire, a bolt of lightning shot from the storm and struck it directly. The alien ship exploded into burning fragments. Everyone on Aegis 9 fell silent. Reydan looked out through the viewport. "That wasn't us," he said quietly. "The planet just fired back. Meanwhile, on the surface, cities were under attack. In London, energy blasts ripped through the skyline. In Mumbai, alien drones patrolled the air, hunting humans. But everywhere they struck, storms followed. Thunder rolled through the streets. Lightning struck drones from the sky. Whole platoons vanished into flashes of blue light. Dr. Elara received new data from the Pacific region. Her instruments showed a massive surge of electromagnetic energy rising from deep beneath the ocean floor. "Something's activating down there," she said. "Something old." Jonah looked terrified. "Old, what do you mean?" Elara pulled up a world map. All over the planet, storm patterns were connecting into one giant formation. Each lightning line matched ancient ley lines, the invisible energy routes once believed to be myth. "It's a network," she said. "The storms are linked. The planet is waking up its own defense grid." Far above, Overlord Cyrix watched the chaos from his throne. "These storms are unnatural," one of his generals reported. "Our systems fail near the surface. The planet resists." Cyrix glared at the holographic map. "No planet has ever resisted the Dominion. Increase the bombardment. Burn it from the orbit." Massive cannons charged along the Armada. Beams of red energy shot downward toward the Earth, but before they could strike, the entire sky split open. The clouds turned electric white. Lightning curved upward into space. The beams of the Voroth were torn apart mid-air. Power feedback surged through their ships, frying systems, melting hulls. Reydan watched in disbelief as alien cruisers broke apart in glowing chains of light. "That's impossible," his engineer shouted. "Lightning doesn't move like that." Reydan clenched his fists. "It does now." On the ground, people saw the same thing. The sky was no longer red, it was alive with rivers of blue fire. The storm clouds twisted into perfect circles. For a brief moment, it looked like an eye opening above the planet. Elara stared at the live feed from satellites before they failed again. The data showed one clear image, a symbol made of storm lines over the Pacific Ocean. It looked like a coiled serpent. "Or perhaps a Leviathan," Jonah whispered. "It's like the planet is fighting for us." Elara nodded. "No, not for us. It's fighting with us." Meanwhile, Reydan received a coded message from Earth Command, the last one before total blackout. It read only 4 words: "Protect the signal source." He opened the coordinates and saw where it pointed, directly to the Pacific Ocean, the same place where the storm energy was strongest. "Set a course," he ordered. "We're going into the eye." His crew stared at him. "Sir, that's suicide." Reydan looked out the window as the red clouds turned blue. "If we don't understand what's happening, we'll lose everything. This isn't just an invasion. It's a test." The Aegis 9 turned sharply toward the storm wall. As it entered, lightning wrapped around the hull, glowing brighter and brighter until the whole ship disappeared into light. On the ground, Dr. Elara's monitors flashed again with new data. The same ancient signal pulsed once more, faster, stronger, alive. Then across every speaker, every radio, and every comlink, one sentence echoed in a voice that was not human and not alien. It sounded like the Earth itself speaking through the storm. "The time has come to awaken Leviathan." The red sky exploded into 1,000 streaks of light. The oceans roared, and the invasion that was meant to break humanity had just met something it could not understand. The world was no longer quiet. The skies had become a living battlefield of color and thunder. Every hour, the red glow faded a little more, replaced by flashes of blue lightning that moved in perfect patterns, spreading across the continents like veins of light. In the orbit above the Earth, Captain Reydan Holt's ship, Aegis 9, floated inside the storm. His crew was silent, staring through the windows at the impossible scene before them. The clouds were not random. They formed vast, swirling shapes that seemed to move with purpose, connecting from one horizon to another. Reydan spoke softly, almost to himself. "It's like the planet is building something." His engineer nodded, pointing to the radar. "Sir, look at this. The storm lines connect every major landmass. It's a network. A massive one. Lightning rippled through the sky, connecting the Aegis 9 to other points in the storm. The entire space around them pulsed like a heartbeat. For a second, Reydan thought he could hear something, distant, deep and rhythmic, almost like a voice calling through the thunder. Down on the surface, Dr. Elara Voss sat surrounded by screens filled with flickering data. Her observatory was running on backup power, but her instruments were still recording the strange signals. Every flash of lightning matched a pulse in the frequency she had been decoding since the invasion began. Jonah looked over her shoulder nervously. "These storms, Elara, they're not natural, right?" She shook her head. "No, they're coordinated. Each one follows a pattern like neurons in a brain. Earth is thinking." Jonah blinked in disbelief. "Thinking? Are you saying the planet is alive? Elara turned the monitor toward him. The lines of data were now forming shapes, circles, spirals, and symbols. I think Earth was always alive. We just never noticed it before, but now something has awakened it. Outside, thunder rolled through the valley. Power lines sparked. The clouds above twisted into a glowing spiral directly over the observatory. Lara stood at the doorway and stared upward. It's trying to tell us something. Meanwhile, Reydan's ship drifted deeper into the storm's center. The hull creaked. Static electricity danced along the edges of the metal. Then through the electric haze, he saw them, massive structures floating within the storm. They were not alien ships nor human satellites. They were old, ancient, made of dark material covered in glowing runes. "Sir," his pilot whispered, "what are those?" Reydan stared. "I think they're part of the defense network. Maybe from Earth's forgotten age. Before they could study the objects further, the communication system came alive." It was Dr. Elara's voice, distorted but clear enough to understand. "Captain Holt, can you hear me? The storms are not random. They are connected through what I believe is called Project Leviathan, something created hundreds of years ago. Not by governments, but by unknown scientists who predicted an invasion like this." Reydan frowned. "You're saying this is man-made?" Elara hesitated. "Not exactly. The data says Leviathan was built with the planet, not on it. It uses Earth's magnetic core as its heart." Reydan's second officer looked shocked. "So, this entire storm system is part of the planet itself?" "Yes," Elara continued. "And now it's defending us." Before Reydan could reply, the ship's lights flickered. The storm around them shifted color from blue to white. Their sensors picked up a sudden energy surge, massive, coming from deep below the Pacific Ocean. Reydan shouted, "Brace for impact!" A column of pure light erupted from the ocean below, shooting straight into space. The beam sliced through the clouds, burning holes through 5 of the nearest Vorath motherships. The explosions lit the sky brighter than the sun. The crew of Aegis 9 cheered for a moment, but the joy faded quickly as the ship's controls went dead. Gravity shifted. The storm pulled them downward. "Engines offline!" The pilot shouted. Reydan gripped his seat. "Hold steady! Let's see where this thing wants us to go." Down below, Elara watched the same event through satellite feeds. The beam of light from the ocean was feeding power into the storm network. Her computer confirmed it. The storms were now completely synchronized around the planet. Jonah pointed at the readings. "The energy output. It's rising beyond anything we've recorded before. If it keeps going, it could tear the atmosphere apart." Elara stared at the data in silence. "No, it won't destroy the atmosphere. It's strengthening it. The planet is building a shield." Far above, Overlord Syrinx stood on the bridge of his flagship Drakor. The holographic map of Earth before him was covered in pulsing storm lines. His generals argued in panic. "Our ships can't penetrate the atmosphere anymore. The storms fry our systems. We're losing entire fleets." Syrinx slammed his staff against the ground. "Find the source. Whatever power they have awakened must be destroyed." He turned his gaze toward the Pacific, where the great beam still glowed like a spear piercing the sky. "That is where their hope hides," he said coldly. "We will burn it." Reydan's ship finally broke through the lower layers of the storm, descending toward the ocean. Below, he saw something vast moving under the water, a shadow so huge that it made the waves rise like walls. "What is that?" his pilot whispered. Reydan stared in awe. "If I had to guess, I'd say that's Leviathan." The shadow shifted. The ocean churned violently, spinning in circles. Then the water exploded upward, and from the depths rose a shape, metallic, glowing, and alive. It wasn't a creature. It was a machine, a planetary guardian buried for centuries beneath the sea. Elara's monitors flared white with data overload. "It's awake," she breathed. "Project Leviathan is awake." As the storm connected around the planet, a deep sound echoed through every speaker and every sky. It was not thunder. It was the sound of something alive, vast, and ancient, stretching after a long sleep. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity realized that they were not alone in their fight. Earth had joined the war. The world shook as the storms grew stronger. Lightning streaked across oceans and deserts, linking continents in blinding flashes of blue. The alien fleet tried to regroup above the Earth, but every time they moved closer, the storms pushed them back. Their shields cracked, their sensors burned out, and their weapons failed to fire. In the middle of the Pacific Ocean, the water glowed with strange light. The massive shape that had risen from the deep was now fully awake, Project Leviathan. Its surface shimmered like metal mixed with rock, alive with flowing energy. It stretched for miles, its head shaped like an ancient serpent, and its body covered in symbols that pulsed with power. From the command deck of Aegis 9, Captain Reydan Holt stared at the giant figure below. The ship's systems were still offline, but through the windows they could see the ocean spinning around Leviathan like a whirlpool. One of his officers whispered, "It's not attacking us, sir. It's watching." Reydan nodded slowly. "Maybe it knows we're not the enemy." Suddenly, his communication console flickered to life. A familiar voice came through, weak but clear. It was Dr. Elara Voss. "Captain Holt, can you hear me? The storms are forming a pattern around your position." "Leviathan is trying to speak," Reydan frowned. "Speak? How?" Elara typed rapidly on her control pad. "Through frequency waves. The lightning strikes, the thunder patterns, even the magnetic pulses, they're all part of a code. I've been decoding it for hours. It's not random." Reydan looked at the glowing titan beneath him. "Then let's hear what it has to say." On Elara's screen, the signal finally stabilized. The data formed a single repeating phrase, translated into human language. Her speakers crackled, and a deep echoing voice filled the observatory. "You woke me too soon. The storm was not ready, but the enemy has forced my hand." Elara froze. Her heart raced. "It's talking." Jonas stared wide-eyed. "The planet. It's really alive. I am Leviathan," the voice continued. "Created when the stars still remembered your kind. I'm the shield of this world, the memory of its pain. I've slept through your wars and your rise. But now the old threat has returned." The lights in the observatory flickered with every word. Outside, thunder rolled endlessly. Elara asked softly, "Who built you?" "The first ones," the voice replied. "Your ancestors, before they forgot who they were. They knew the Dominion would come again. They left me sleeping beneath the sea, waiting for your call." At that same moment, the Vorath flagship Dra-Kor hovered above the Pacific, scanning the energy readings. Overlord Syrinx glared at the display. "The humans have awakened something they do not understand. It draws power from the planet's core. If we destroy the core, the resistance ends." His generals hesitated. "If we strike the core, the planet itself may break apart." Syrinx's tone turned cold. "Then let it burn." Massive energy cannons began to charge across the Vorath fleet, each one aimed directly at the ocean where Leviathan slept. On Aegis 9, alarms blared. Reydan shouted, "They're preparing to fire!" "Elara, tell me this thing can fight back." Elara's voice came through static. "It's charging something, an energy build-up under the ocean, but it's slow. You need to buy it time." Reydan gritted his teeth. "All right, people. We're not dying quietly. Activate manual control." His crew scrambled, forcing power through the backup thrusters. The ship shook violently, but the engines roared to life. They turned toward the Vorath fleet. "Prepare missiles," Reydan ordered. "We'll distract them long enough for Leviathan to finish whatever it's doing." The first alien cannon fired. The beam struck the ocean, splitting the sea into massive walls of steam and boiling water. For a moment, everything went silent. Then from the depths, Leviathan's eyes opened fully, two glowing orbs brighter than the sun. A deafening roar shook the atmosphere. Waves rose higher than mountains. From the creature's body, hundreds of lightning arcs burst outward, climbing into the sky and slamming into the alien ships. The entire Vorath line broke apart like glass. Reydan watched in awe. "Good God! It's fighting back!" Elara struggled to hold her ground as her lab trembled. "It's not just defending, Captain, it's adapting." It's learning from their weapons. Through the connection, the voice of Leviathan spoke again, calm and thunderous. The enemy burns the skies. They seek to wound the heart of this world. But I remember their kind. I will not allow it again. Above the ocean, the flagship Dracor fired its main cannon. The beam cut through the clouds, aimed straight at Leviathan's chest. For a moment it seemed unstoppable, until Leviathan raised its head and released a blinding pulse of blue energy. The blast met the cannon's beam mid-air. The collision sent shockwaves through space and sea. Ships on both sides were thrown out of orbit. Reydan's crew held onto their seats as the Aegis 9 spun violently. "Stabilizer!" he yelled. Elara watched the readings spike off the charts. This isn't just power, it's merging. Leviathan is connecting to every storm on the planet. It's becoming one with Earth's magnetic field. Jonah pointed to the map. The storms, they're focusing around the Pacific. All of them! Elara's voice trembled. That's the heart. The planet's heart. In the sky above, Reydan's ship finally regained control. He looked down at the ocean, now glowing entirely with energy. It's alive, he said. All of it. Then a deep rumble echoed across every radio and speaker on Earth. It wasn't words this time. It was a call, a signal meant for every living thing. The seas churned, the mountains vibrated, and the clouds pulsed like lungs breathing. Humanity stood in silence. Watching the storms rise higher, Elara pressed her hand against the cold glass of her observatory window. The planet is speaking to us, she whispered. And it's angry. Above, Overlord Syrinx watched his fleet burning in the storm. His rage echoed through the bridge. They think they can defy us. But I will end this world myself. He ordered his fleet to descend through the storm, heading straight toward the Pacific core. Below, Leviathan's glowing eyes lifted toward the sky. Its voice whispered one last message through the storm. They come for my heart. Then I shall show them what the heart of a world can do. The sea erupted once more, and a massive pulse of light burst from the depths, reaching beyond the clouds. The final war between Earth and the stars had begun. The Pacific Ocean glowed like a living sun. Waves rose and fell in rhythmic pulses, as if the sea itself was breathing. Every lightning flash painted the world blue and white. The clouds above swirled into one massive spiral, spinning faster with every second. Inside that spiral, deep beneath the surface, Captain Reydan, Holt and the crew of Aegis 9 were no longer flying. They were being pulled downward. The ship trembled as magnetic forces surrounded it. Alarms screamed, but Reydan stayed calm. "Hold position," he ordered. "We're going where the planet wants us." Through the glass, they saw it, the entrance to a glowing vortex opening in the ocean. The water fell away, revealing a massive tunnel of light. They were being drawn into the heart of the world. Reydan gripped his seat as the ship plunged deeper. "If anyone's praying," he said quietly, "now's the time." Down, down, and down they went, until the blue light swallowed everything. Then suddenly the shaking stopped. Silence. The ship floated in a giant underwater chamber that stretched for miles. The walls pulsed with veins of light. Floating platforms, strange machines, and enormous pillars surrounded them. "It's not natural," Reydan whispered. "This was built." His engineer looked around in disbelief. "Built by who?" "There's nothing human down here." Reydan stared at the glowing structures. Maybe not human, but definitely intelligent. In the center of the chamber stood a huge crystal sphere, spinning slowly. Inside it, light twisted like a storm trapped in glass. Reydan could feel its energy vibrating through his bones. Then a voice echoed, not from the radio, not from the speakers, but inside their minds. "Welcome, Protector." Reydan froze. The voice was calm, powerful, ancient. "You entered the heart without fear. You carry the will of your kind. You are worthy to see what was hidden." The sphere brightened, and the storm around it cleared. Images appeared inside the crystal, cities not of this age, humans walking beside beings of light, machines growing from the earth like trees. Reydan's pilot gasped. "Is that our past?" "Your forgotten past," the voice answered. "Long before the Dominion came, your ancestors knew the truth. They built me to guard this world when they could not. Reydan stepped forward, awe in his voice. You're Leviathan. I am Leviathan, the voice said. But I am also the memory of Earth. The first humans connected my heart to the planet's core. Together we became one. When the Vorath returned, you called me again. Reydan frowned. We didn't call you. You woke on your own. The signal came from one of you, a scientist. Her name is Elara. Reydan smiled faintly. She's still fighting up there. Then she carries the spark, Leviathan said. She remembers what you were meant to be. Above the ocean, the battle raged on. The alien Armada fired again and again, trying to reach the ocean core. But every beam they sent was scattered by the storms. The sky had become a shield. Dr. Elara Voss sat at her station, trembling as her screens glowed brighter. She could see the energy readings from the Pacific. They were growing at a terrifying rate. It's building power faster than before, she said. Jonah pointed at the data. If it keeps rising like that, it might destroy the entire planet. Elara shook her head. No, Jonah, it's not destroying, it's transforming. Leviathan is using Earth's magnetic field as armor. Then the voice reached her too, echoing through the observatory speakers. Elara Voss, keeper of the code. You awakened the storm. You must guide the heart. Her eyes widened. Leviathan. You can hear me? Yes, but the enemy is close. The Vorath seek to pierce the heart. If they succeed, all life will end. Elara's hands shook. What do you need me to do? Connect your mind to the network. Become the voice of the storm. She hesitated only for a moment, then placed her hand on the glowing console. Energy surged through her body, and for a heartbeat she saw everything. The sky, the oceans, the burning cities, the storm lines connecting the planet. It all pulsed like one living being. Jonah called out, Elara, your eyes, what's happening to you? She spoke softly, her voice deeper now. I can see it all. I can hear Earth's heartbeat. At that same time, in the deep chamber, Reydan heard her voice echo through Leviathan's light. Reydan, I can see you. Elara? Reydan shouted. Where are you? Everywhere, she said. Leviathan is using me to connect the network. Before he could respond, Leviathan spoke again. The Vorath are attacking the core. The final weapon approaches. They will destroy this world unless we merge. Reydan looked around the chamber. Merge with what? The crystal sphere pulsed brighter. With me, a human mind is needed to unlock full defense control. But the one who merges cannot return. Reydan's crew stared at him. Sir, you can't. He cut them off. If that's what it takes to save Earth, then that's what I'll do. Reydan stepped toward the glowing sphere. The light wrapped around him, lifting him into the air. His body glowed, his heartbeat synchronized with the storm outside. Elara's voice trembled through the storm network. Reydan, wait, you'll lose yourself. Reydan smiled faintly. We've already lost too much, Elara. Maybe it's time someone gave something back. The chamber filled with blinding light. The storm outside exploded with power. Around the globe, people saw the lightning turn white. Elara fell to her knees as her screens overloaded. He did it, she whispered. He's merging. In the heart of the world, Reydan felt his mind expanding. He could see everything, mountains, oceans, cities, storms, all connected. He felt the pain of the planet and the hope of its people. And in that moment, he was no longer just a man. He was the storm. Leviathan's voice echoed one last time. Now, let Earth rise. Above, the ocean erupted in a blinding column of energy that reached into space. Dozens of alien ships were vaporized instantly. The rest began to fall apart as the planet's magnetic field surged. Reydan's final thought before his consciousness vanished into the storm was simple. We are not alone. We are one. The whole sky was alive. Bolts of white lightning crossed the planet like veins of fire. Oceans boiled, storms circled continents, and the air itself vibrated with unseen power. Every radio, satellite, and network on Earth carried a strange pulse. One sound, like a heartbeat echoing across the world. From the Pacific core, a pillar of light still rose upward, tearing the clouds apart. The light wasn't only energy, it was purpose. It carried Reydan Holt's mind, now merged with Leviathan, the guardian storm of Earth. Across the planet, people felt it. Farmers in Asia dropped their tools and looked up as the wind spoke their names. Soldiers in broken cities felt their weapons grow warm, then saw alien drones melt mid-air. Even deep space stations orbiting Earth saw the blue glow spread into the void. Dr. Elara Voss stood in the command center, her eyes glowing faintly as she remained linked to Leviathan's network. She could hear Reydan's voice faintly inside her mind. "Still with me, Elara?" Her breath caught. "You're alive?" "Alive enough," Reydan answered, his tone calm but different, echoing like thunder. "Earth systems are responding. I can feel everything. The oceans, the magnetic flow, even the metal inside their ships." Elara looked at the data streams flashing across her console. The Vorath are regrouping. They're bringing their command vessels closer to the upper atmosphere. "They're afraid." "Good," Reydan said. "They should be." In orbit above, the Vorath Supreme Commander Tarak stood on the bridge of his flagship. The holographic map in front of him showed Earth glowing brighter with every second. "This world was primitive," he growled. "How is it doing this?" A smaller officer replied nervously. "Their planet is alive, my lord. It's reacting." "Planets don't react," Tarak hissed. "Something is controlling it." At that moment, a pulse of energy hit the Vorath fleet. Thousands of their ships lost control, spinning wildly. The magnetic field around Earth had reversed, pulling them down instead of pushing them away. Dozens crashed into each other as explosions filled the sky. On Earth, every screen and device flickered, showing one symbol, the mark of Leviathan, an eye surrounded by storm lines. Then Reydan's voice filled the airwaves. "This is Captain Reydan Holt of Earth Defense, to the Vorath Dominion. You brought your Armada to break humanity, but you forgot one thing. Earth fights back." Elara could feel the emotion in his voice. "He's not just speaking," she whispered. "He's sending the message through every system, radio, satellite, even their ships." In orbit, Tarak snarled, "Fire everything. I want this planet burned." Thousands of energy beams rained down, but none reached the surface. The atmosphere shimmered like glass, reflecting the attacks back. The beams twisted, bent, and redirected into the fleet that fired them. Ships exploded in bright flashes, lighting the sky like a second dawn. Inside the storm, Reydan's consciousness flowed through Leviathan's systems. He could feel the alien energy signatures, their frequencies, their fear. He focused. The clouds moved at his will. Lightning fell where he pointed his thoughts. Every strike hit a Vorath ship. Every explosion lit the night brighter than the last. Elara watched the storm spread over the Pacific, her eyes wide with awe. "He's using the entire planet as a weapon." Jonah, standing beside her, whispered, "Then maybe we'll win." But Elara wasn't smiling. He can't keep this up. His human mind wasn't built for this power. Down in the core chamber, the Leviathan crystal pulsed wildly. The structure was shaking, currents growing unstable. Reydan's energy was burning fast. Inside the storm, he could feel himself slipping. "Elara," he called weakly through the network, "if I lose control, the energy will overload. You'll have to shut me down." She shouted back through the comlink, "I'm not shutting you down. You're the only thing holding the Vorath." "Back, Elara, listen," he said, voice trembling between thunder and human pain. "This isn't just power, it's consciousness. Leviathan doesn't want to destroy, it wants to evolve. If it takes over, no one can stop it, not even you." Elara's heart raced. "Then what do we do?" Reydan paused. "We win before I fade." Above them, the last Vorath command ship descended through the clouds. It was colossal, larger than a city, glowing with violet energy. The ship fired a single beam aimed straight at the Pacific light column. Reydan felt the impact like a blade through his chest. The storm screamed in agony. "Elara!" he shouted. "Redirect energy to the grid." She ran to the controls, hands flying across keys. "I'm rerouting through the orbital arrays." The storm's energy shifted upward, channeling through the satellites orbiting Earth. One by one, they exploded, creating rings of burning debris. The debris then caught the light from the Pacific beam, reflecting it back toward the enemy ship. From the ground, it looked like Earth was shining 1,000 mirrors into space. The reflected energy hit the Vorath flagship straight through its core. Tarak roared, "No, impossible!" before his ship was split apart by its own weapon's return fire. The explosion filled the night sky, turning darkness into burning day. Pieces of alien metal rained through the atmosphere like shooting stars. The storm quieted. The thunder faded. Slowly, the red glow began to turn blue again. Elara collapsed to the floor, gasping. "It's over." Jonah looked at the fading pillar in the distance. "What about Reydan?" The voice of Leviathan echoed faintly one last time. "He's still here. He became part of me. As long as Earth breathes, his spirit lives." Elara closed her eyes, tears rolling down her face. "Thank you, Reydan." The sky cleared, the oceans calmed. Across the world, humanity looked upward to the quiet heavens where the alien fleet once stood. For the first time in centuries, Earth was silent and free, but in the dark edge of space, beyond the wreckage of the Vorath fleet, a signal began to pulse, a faint distress call sent to distant stars. The message was clear. "The humans have awakened the Leviathan. Send the second wave." The world was quiet after the storm. The oceans glowed faintly from leftover energy. Cities lay in ruins, but fires were slowly dying out. For the first time in weeks, the sky was blue again. Humanity had survived, but at a heavy cost. Dr. Elara Voss stood on the observatory balcony overlooking the Pacific. The air was calm, but she could still feel something under her feet, a pulse, a heartbeat in the earth. "He's still here," she whispered. "Reydan, I can feel you." Jonah joined her, his uniform torn and dirty. "You think he's really alive, inside Leviathan?" Elara nodded slowly. "Not alive the way we understand it. But he's part of Earth now. He's watching us." As she spoke, waves moved with unusual rhythm, forming perfect circles on the water. Then for a moment lightning flashed far on the horizon, once like a heartbeat answering hers. She smiled faintly. "He heard me. But peace never lasts long." 3 days later, deep space sensors detected new signals, massive readings, unknown origin. They were coming from beyond the edge of the solar system. Elara's team gathered around the main screen. The computer traced the incoming signal. It was in Vorath language. Jonah translated it aloud, his voice tense. It says, "Emergency broadcast. The humans destroyed the first Armada. Send the second Star Legion." Everyone froze. The room fell silent, except for the low hum of machines. Elara clenched her fists. "They're coming again," Jonah whispered. "We barely survived the first wave. Without Reydan, how do we fight the second?" Elara looked at the Pacific map glowing behind her. "We won't fight alone this time." The storm systems over the ocean began to react again, but this time it wasn't violent. It was organized, controlled. Leviathan was awake but calm. The planet had learned. Then, across the world, strange things started to happen. Old satellites reactivated themselves. Abandoned defense stations turned online without commands. And deep under the polar, ice-hidden structures began to rise, massive towers made of silver metal glowing from within. Jonah stared at the readings. "What is this? Some kind of alien tech?" Elara smiled. "No, it's human. Leviathan just unlocked what our ancestors left behind." She walked to the control platform, her hand trembling as she touched the glowing console. "Leviathan," she whispered. "If you can hear me, show us the path." The console responded instantly. Holographic lines shot into the air, forming a massive network, energy nodes covering the globe. Reydan's voice, deep and distant, echoed softly through the system. Humanity was never weak, it only forgot what it was. The storm symbols across the map pulsed like living veins. The first war awakened the storm. The next will awaken the stars. Jonah looked at Elara. "Awaken the stars? What does that mean?" Before she could answer, the night sky changed. Dozens of faint lights appeared, at first like shooting stars, but then they stopped. They hovered. Massive shadows began to form behind them. The second Vorath Armada had arrived. Gigantic ships larger than mountains blocked out the sun. Their engines burned purple, their weapons charged. On Earth, people across every continent watched the sky darken again. Fear spread, but not panic. This time they had hope. They had seen what Earth could do. Elara's voice came through every broadcast, calm and strong. "This is Dr. Elara Voss of Earth Command. To every survivor, every soldier, every mind still willing to fight, stand by your stations. Humanity stands as one." She looked at Jonah. "Open the Leviathan channels." A low hum filled the observatory. The oceans began to shimmer again, glowing blue and white. The wind rose, but it was steady, focused, alive. Reydan's voice returned, faint but powerful. "Elara, I can't hold this form for long. The new fleet is stronger, but we're not helpless." She smiled. "Then let's finish what we started." Above, the first Vorath ship fired. The beam hit the atmosphere, but instead of burning through, it was bent and split into hundreds of streaks, redirected into space like mirrors of light. The energy formed a shield across the planet. Reydan's voice echoed again. "You taught me something, Elara. Earth doesn't just defend, it adapts." Lightning surged across the shield, forming patterns, symbols, circuits. The entire field began to glow. From the old defense towers under the poles, massive arcs of light shot upward, merging with the shield. Jonah stared in awe. "We're turning the planet into a weapon again." Elara shook her head. "Not a weapon, a signal." The light expanded beyond the atmosphere, into the stars. For a moment it looked like Earth was calling out to the galaxy, and something answered. From the far side of the moon, new shapes appeared. Not Vorath. Sleek silver ships, ancient and elegant. Symbols glowing on their hulls matched those in Leviathan's chamber. Jonah gasped. "Who are they?" Reydan's voice was almost a whisper now. "The builders, the ones who made Leviathan. They've heard us." The alien builders descended silently, aligning their ships above Earth. Their light joined the shield, creating an energy pattern that spread outward like wings. The Vorath fired again, but this time their attacks vanished into nothing. The shield absorbed the energy, then returned it 1,000-fold. Entire Vorath ships disintegrated in seconds. The sky burned white once more, but this time it was victory, not destruction. As the last Vorath cruiser exploded in orbit, the storm began to fade. The oceans calmed again. The builders' ships hovered quietly above the clouds, observing, waiting. Elara stood by the window, tears in her eyes. "It's over," Jonah whispered. "No, it's a beginning." In her mind, she heard Reydan's final words. "Protect them, Elara. The storm sleeps now, but one day it will rise again, not in fear, but in strength." The clouds parted, revealing a dawn brighter than any before. Humanity stood together, under a new light, not just survivors, but guardians of a living world. Above them, one builder ship projected a single symbol onto the clouds, an eye surrounded by storm lines, the mark of Leviathan. And beneath that silent sky, Earth breathed again, alive, awake, unbroken. The end.